The nurse looked at my chart and asked, "When did you have your son?" "I've never been pregnant." I was at my annual checkup, sitting on that crinkly paper in a thin gown, when she said it so casually while typing into her computer. I laughed nervously and told her she must have the wrong file. She turned the screen toward me and pointed at a line that said, "Live birth male, 2019. My name was at the top, my date of birth, my social security number. Everything was mine except that one impossible detail. I told her again that I had never been pregnant, never given birth, never had a child. She looked at me like I was confused or lying. She said the record came from a hospital 2 states over and asked if I had ever lived there. My stomach dropped because I had. I lived there for exactly 8 months in 2018 before moving back home. I was 19 and had gone there for a job that fell through. I came back broke and embarrassed and never talked about that time in my life, but I definitely did not have a baby. The nurse said she would flag the record for review and moved on with my appointment like she hadn't just turned my entire understanding of my own life upside down. I drove home in a daze and called my mom immediately. I asked her point blank if there was any possible way I had a child I didn't know about. She went quiet for way too long before asking why I was bringing this up now. My hands started shaking on the steering wheel. I pulled over and asked her what she meant by now. She started crying and said she thought I knew. She thought I remembered and just never wanted to talk about it. I was screaming at this point, asking her what she was talking about. She told me that during those 8 months I was gone, I had called her exactly once. I was hysterical and saying things that didn't make sense. She drove out to get me and found me in a hospital recovering from childbirth. I had no memory of the pregnancy or the delivery. The doctor said I had experienced a severe dissociative episode triggered by trauma they couldn't identify. I had apparently been living with a man named Dominic who convinced me not to contact anyone for months. When she arrived, I didn't recognize her at first. The baby had already been taken by child services because I was deemed unfit, and Dominic had vanished. My mom brought me home and I spent weeks in a fog before slowly returning to normal with no memory of any of it. She said the doctors called it dissociative amnesia and told her my brain had essentially deleted those months to protect me. She never told me because every specialist said forcing the memories could cause another break. She thought I would remember on my own when I was ready. I sat in my parked car for an hour just breathing. I had a son somewhere, a 5-year-old boy who existed because of something that happened to me during a chunk of my life that my own brain had erased. I hired a private investigator the next week. It took him 3 months to find anything. The boy had been adopted by a family in the same state where I had lived. Closed adoption with no contact allowed. But the investigator found something else that made my blood freeze. Dominic's real name was not Dominic. He had used 4 different names in 4 different states and had a pattern of targeting young women who were isolated from their families. 3 other women had come forward over the years with similar stories of memory gaps and missing time. 2 of them had children they didn't remember conceiving. He was currently in prison for unrelated charges but would be eligible for parole in 2 years.